Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Jan Michael here, coming at you with my Oscar predictions for July of 2026. That's right, with the end of July, we gotta take a look at all the films that released to see what has the greatest potential to get into the Oscars. And if this happens to be the first video of mine you're watching in my Oscar prediction series, note that the way that I tackle my predictions is I only talk about the films that release month of. So in this case, July. If you're interested to see why something is already on my list, I implore you to go back and check out my older work, as the reasons for why it is on here are going to be there. With that being said, let's not waste any time. Let's jump in, starting with the theatrical releases. Minions and Monsters follows the Minions in 1920s Hollywood as they search for frightening creatures for their monster movie, partner with a green creature, and must save the planet after unleashing monsters. I was actually dreading going to see this one. I have not really partaken in a lot of the Minions nonsense that's out there in the world. Not that I absolutely despise the things. I can understand why they're popular. It's just, it's not for me. It's just not. But my daughter wanted to go see this new one, and I thought, okay, why the hell not? I'll suffer through it if she has a good time with it. And lo and behold, I actually thought this movie was pretty decent. It's not great, it's not amazing or anything like that, but you know what? I chuckled quite a bit. I thought it was impressive what they did with the settings of this era of films. And turns out that the film, which normally the series does so well, like it breaks records with how much money it makes, like, this is the one that ends up falling below expectations. So, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, the one actual Minions film that I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually somewhat decent. It's like, nope, forget it. It's the one that makes the least amount of money. So, yeah, while I can see it being considered for an Oscar, the fact that it is going to kind of be seen as the lowest rated Minions film makes me think it's just not going to be included. Thus, I will give it a mention, but it's not getting into my top 5, so sorry Minions, better luck next time. The Odyssey. After the Trojan War, Odysseus faces a dangerous voyage back to Ithaca, meeting creatures like the Cyclops, Sirens, and Calypso along the way. Yeah, this is gonna be the big film we're gonna be talking about this month. What can I say that people haven't already said about the film, that haven't predicted months ago to be a juggernaut of a film that is going to be a huge Oscar player? I'm here to cement that and say that yes, I very much see this as being a huge Oscar contender. Heck, I'll even go so far as to say I could see this winning Best Picture. Like, the impact that it's had, like, it even got like racist piece of shit Ben Shapiro to call it a masterpiece. So I think we're good in terms of it is very beloved. Like, from now on, the only people that are still hating on it are just like spiteful little people that I don't know, they just have to be the outliers. I don't know. I'm not gonna go into the whole politics of it. I'm just here to talk about the movie. And yes, the movie is fantastic. It's great. Despite the flaws, and the movie does have flaws, you can look past those to just immerse yourself in the experience and have a great time. That being said, we got to go over what all the possible Oscar nominations it can get on a good day are. So once again, if this is a refresher, if you're just watching this video, this is the first Oscar prediction of mine you're watching, the way that I do this is when I'm talking about a potential Best Picture nominee, I talk about every potential Oscar it can get if it had like the best day ever. So please take this with a grain of salt here. I'm sure it's not going to get every single one of these. I'm just saying that they are viable choices. So apart from Best Picture, of course, you got Best Director. And as I have gone over my 5 here, I am going to have to get rid of someone. In this case, I am going to get rid of Lucas Daunt. I mentioned that Coward I was going to start removing just because I'm starting to get a little bit more lukewarm on the possibility of getting into Best Picture, but I do still think it is a solid international film contender. Moving on, actor, of course, for Matt Damon, who I think has problems. I don't think is all that great, if I'm being completely honest. He does get better as the film goes along, but I don't think he's as amazing as people made him out to be. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter what the fuck I think. It matters what others think and if he's gonna get into the Oscars. And yes, with as big of a film this is, I most definitely see him getting into the Oscars. So who am I gonna get rid of? I think the only one that makes sense as of this time and moment is to get rid of John Turturro for The Only Living Pickpocket in New York. Again, that film could get a resurgence, but man, it's just such fierce competition. I can't see this happening. Even if the film somehow gains a life at the Oscars, it's really gotta like gain life. Like it can't just be like, oh, it's present. It has to be a serious contender for John to get in at this point in time, at least from what I feel. Supporting actress, you actually have two people that are in talks, and that is Anne Hathaway and Samantha Morton. Could both of them get in? I don't think they could both get in, but I do think they have better chances from others that I have on my list. So I'm going to include them for now, but really, I think Samantha would be the one that drops off moving forward. So she's in for now, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Gemma Chan for Josephine and Sandra Hüller for Project Hail Mary. I think they have a better shot than those two, but again, I think Samantha could fall off in due time as well. For supporting actor, you also have two people that everyone's been talking about, and that is John Leguizamo and Robert Pattinson. Both really good performances. I would not mind both of them getting in. If one or the older got in, I think that would also be fine. I think I prefer John a little bit more than Robert, but man, Robert's also really good. He's fun to watch, and he's already been memed to hell in the from the film, like his little dialogue, the way he says things. It's just so funny to see. It's entertaining, so I can see him kind of being the one that maybe people elevate because of that. This rounds up to 5 for my supporting actress. I don't have to get rid of anyone at this point in time, but that's what I got here. Adapted screenplay makes complete and total sense here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Is God Is. I just don't think that has any chance of really getting into the Oscars. Casting, I'm including it. That makes number 3 for my predictions here. Cinematography also makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Greta Zazula for Josephine here. Costume design, of course. We're going to go ahead and get rid of Bina Dagler for Mother Mary. Film editing, this rounds out my 5 here. Makeup and hairstyling, I'm going to get rid of The Bride, which, yeah, that was, I don't think that's any love lost there. Original score, holy shit, dude, is Ludwig Göransson going to win his 3rd Oscar in a row? Like, 3 years running? Has that been done before? I think I heard someone saying it's never been done before. And if that's the case, holy shit, I could totally see him being, like, the one to do it, because that score is freaking amazing. Most definitely getting nominated. I'm going to get rid of Miles Ross for Josephine here. Original song. This is one you can maybe play around with, but I don't think it's a lock that it's going to get in. I'll include it for now and get rid of Chains of Love from Wuthering Heights. But know that, honestly, all of my picks as of thus now, I'm not overly confident in this category. Production design gets in. That rounds up my 5 here. Sound, of course, makes complete and total sense. I'm going to get rid of Coward here. And then visual effects, going to include it here. And then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Masters of the Universe there. All in all, this makes it 18 nominations on, like, the best day it ever can have. I don't think it's going to get 18. Like, are we going to see that record broken right after Ryan Coogler's, oh my god, the vampire film, what the fuck? Sinners, there we go. Okay, yeah, I'm having an old man moment. Yeah, I don't think that record's gonna be broken so quickly. And as great of a film as the Odyssey is, again, it has its faults, and I can see some of these just not happening, such as with Song. Could you really have 2 supporting actor and actress nominations? I could see, like, the supporting actress for Anne Hathaway, but other than that, I could see every other one just completely falling off, apart from Matt Damon and lead, of course. So, yeah, there's areas where I think we're going to get stronger works, and it's going to ultimately push it out. But again, if it has, like, the best day ever, could it break the record? Yeah, of course it could. I'll keep that as a possibility, but yeah, I do think this is a very strong contender. As of right now, all of the films that I have in my best picture lineup predictions, I think this would probably be number one as of right now. And I mean, if you've seen the film, it makes sense as to why. Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender. Avatar Aang, the world's last airbender, learns of an ancient power that could save his culture from extinction. With the help of his friends, he embarks on a global quest to find it before it falls into the wrong hands. I'm really only even including this on here is because Paramount has actually stated they are going to be launching a Oscar campaign for the film. I truly don't think this is going to get into the Oscars whatsoever. I can't even see it getting like a Golden Globe nomination, anything of that. Like, I don't know. I would love for the Avatar series to get some Oscar love, but I don't think this was the way to do it. I think really they needed to go much bigger. The story needed to be hit much harder than it is currently hitting other people. It had to make such a big impact. This had to be like the return of Avatar. Like the holy shit, this is like the next thing that you just have to see. Like drop what you're doing and go see it. And just this isn't it. Not to mention that they bungled the whole release. I mean, the whole thing got leaked before it even officially released. So yeah, I just don't think it's in the cards for Avatar to get an Oscar nomination. But again, Paramount's launching a campaign, so I'll keep it here in consideration. Spider-Man, Brand New Day. A forgotten Peter Parker lives alone as a full-time Spider-Man until mounting pressure triggers a dangerous change and a powerful new enemy emerges. Spider-Man films, the live-action ones anyway, are very hit or miss, I think, when it comes to the Oscars. Like, the Tom Holland ones haven't been amazing with their track record, though the last one did get into visual effects. Like, gone are the days of the Tobey Maguires were, like, almost... Like, the first two were, like, huge Oscar contenders. The third one obviously dropped off. But it was just, like, it's been so inconsistent that, you know, it's probably more safer to not include it than to include it. But there's always a possibility. Bottom line here is, like, unless you like the animated Spider-Man films, your odds of getting into the Oscar are very slim. But let's entertain the possibilities. There's two areas that I think the film could potentially get into the Oscars. The first is sound. I'm not going to include it in my top 5, but know that there is somewhat of a possibility there. And the second one is visual effects, which I will include for now. This is Jerome Chen, who has previously been nominated for an Oscar, so there's at least some history there. And I think it has a better chance than Supergirl, which has been pretty much panned, including in its visual effects. So if it does have any chance, it's in visuals. But even then, I'm not sold on it just yet. We'll see how the rest of the year turns out, but yeah, we got some other big films that are going to be heavy on the special effects that could potentially just knock it out, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, so those are all the theatrical releases that I think have any Oscar potential whatsoever. Now we got to talk about the film festivals, but it is going to be very short in this section just because there wasn't anything major that happened in July. The first thing I want to do is I want to introduce 2 international feature films that I previously missed out on that have actual Oscar campaigns either really in talks or if they've already been solidified. So I'm going to use some of the maybe lesser known film festivals to kind of introduce them to keep in line with the structure of my videos. So starting off with KVIF, we have The Guest. Follows new parents Carl and Emily planning to announce their child's name at a seaside hotel, disrupted when Carl's estranged mother, Vivek, arrives unexpectedly. This, as I understand, is going to be Denmark's submission for the Oscars, so of course I do want to give it some attention here. That being said, I'm not including it in my 5. If you've seen my previous videos, you know that I just think this category is so stacked that I don't think we have much room for I would say a surprise. Like the surprising thing would be like of the heavy hitters, who's gonna get in, but for one that maybe isn't making as big of a splash as I would probably list The Guest as one of those. For that to get in would be a real huge shock. So yeah, not gonna entertain that one. The other film I'm going to talk about was at the Jerusalem Film Festival, and that is The Dreamed Adventure. A woman who agrees to a deal to help an old acquaintance. She follows the hero on his adventure and enters dangerous territory where she is then confronted with her own desire. I believe this one won a writing award at Cannes, and I thought about including it, but the reviews on it weren't all that spectacular, so I thought for sure this was something that was just gonna fall off by the wayside. But as I understand it, Germany is seriously considering this being their submission for the Oscars, so I'm gonna have to include it here. And that's really about it. Again, I'm not putting it in my top 5. I just want to give it a mention just because you're probably going to see its name pop up here and there with the submissions. We'll see how it goes. Now, one extra thing I did want to do, because as you can see, I have so many freaking potentials in the international section and some other sections as well, is I'm going to try not to go past 20. If I am going to include something past 20, I'm going to have to get rid of something to replace it. So it has to be something that I'm just not taking into consideration whatsoever. I'm erasing it from my memory, essentially. Since I did just introduce 2 international feature films, the 2 that I'm going to be just completely cutting loose are first and foremost Prosecution, and then I'm going to get rid of Nadisco. So those are the 2. You will not see them listed anymore. I'm not giving them consideration, just not going to entertain it anymore. Because otherwise this list, really, I could make it endless. And sure, I can make an argument for every single one, but I'm going to try to condense it and be a little bit more reasonable with my selections here. And as we get closer to the Oscars, I may even hone it in a little bit more to really focus on the true potentials rather than just long shots. Okay, the last film festival that I really want to talk about, and one that I am actually going to be diving deep into, is the Indie Shorts International Film Festival. Now, this one is very important in terms of the shorts, because a lot of the shorts that end up winning here go on to get nominated, heck, go on to win at the Oscars, are shortlisted, are big names. The Singers, which won a major prize here last year, went on to win the Oscars. So you got to take these very seriously. I'm not going to include every singer winner because, again, the list is just going to get too long, but out of the winners, the ones that stuck out to me most, I will be discussing. Starting with 9 Million Colors. A predatory shrimp named Fred loves the ocean. She meets Milva, a blind fish struggling to survive. Despite their contrasting views of the sea, Fran finds Milva beautiful and hopes to share her perspective. I believe this is a stop-motion animated film and one that takes place under the ocean, which I think is a very fascinating blend of styles, or I should say the location of it is going to adapt well to the style. Like, you could have some very interesting visuals because of its setting. And it being stop motion, which the Academy freaking love, I am kind of forced to include it on here. I will be putting it as part of my top 5. And I'm gonna have to get rid of Violet and Marlowe rob a bank, as much as I don't want to, because that looks so cute and its premise is so awesome. But the short is incredibly short, and as I mentioned in the past, the Oscars typically go for something that's at least a little bit longer. Like, you gotta at least get past 10 minutes. And yeah, because of that, I'm gonna have to drop it. But hey, this does look like it's a visual feast, and for that, I am looking forward to seeing it. Daddy's Girl. A precocious 12-year-old plots her stepfather's demise, but a weekend in his presence forces her to confront the grief she's kept hidden. This one feels like it's going to rip your heart out. And the director, Josephine Lohar Self, has actually had one of their films longlisted at the Oscars before. So there is some history there. Maybe this is the film that finally pushes their film to actually get into the Oscars, so I'm very much looking forward to it. And the premise itself just got me so intrigued. I'm going to include it, and I'm gonna get rid of 32B. Again, I don't want to, but would a dark comedy really get into the Oscars? I mean, in the shorts category, it's always a possibility, but just something tells me that's probably not the one that's gonna make it. But again, I'm just going off of like vibes, I guess. Is that a good argument? Vibes? It's not, but I will use it because otherwise I'm just gonna go insane trying to justify these removals. A Family Woman. Suzanne comes to realize that she has come out on top of her divorce when she's asked to do her ex-husband a favor. She helps babysit the 3-year-old daughter that he fathered with the woman he left Suzanne for. What a premise! This one went on to win the overall audience award, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is the award that Singers ended up winning last year, and as I mentioned, that went on to win the Oscar. It technically was a tie, but you know, it won an Oscar, so there's that. So I should be giving this film a little bit more consideration, but I'm not going to, just because I prefer the premises of the other films I have on the list more, but know that I am keeping it in the back of my mind. Like, it's probably like unofficially number 6 if I were to be ranking these. So yeah, I might slip it in the future, just based on the award that it won. I should also mention that even though it did win the overall audience prize, that doesn't qualify for the Oscars. So you do need to win one of the main awards. So the film still has to kind of, you know, follow procedures to actually be considered for the Oscars. So it does have a foot down in that aspect. Is that a saying? Leg up, foot down? I don't know. I'm just working off my words. But yeah, so it still has to prove itself is ultimately what I'm saying here. And thus another reason why I'm not going to be including it in my 5. Jason. A young boy in Miami carries on with his days while the voice of his mother, recently deported, travels through the phone to try to reach him. Jason is about what happens after deportation, the felt absence, the connection that struggles to survive it, and the power of a mother's love. A very important topic, which kind of similar to what I said about Water Cooler, I think is going to help elevate it to get into the Oscars, just because a lot of people are discussing this. They're seeing this happen right in front of their eyes, and how fascinating to see the aftermath of the horrors that are currently going on. So yes, I'm very much going to be putting this in my top 5. I'm going to get rid of The Boys and the Bees. And yeah, man, I know I don't have too many documentary short films on here, but I feel it's going to get tougher as we get through the rest of the year and the festivals. La Barriere. Geraldine, a young stage manager, is blocking a deserted road for a film shoot near Calais. Not many people pass through, apart from Ammar, a Syrian refugee. This one feels like it has the good old circle jerk production backing it up here, but despite that, I'm not actually going to include it in my 5. Once again, I just prefer the other ones instead, but it did win a big prize here, so you got to keep it in consideration, which is what I'm doing. The Method. To get out of the doghouse, a desperate husband hires a washed-up actor turned con artist to pose as a couple's therapist, until a mix-up flips the script. Another circle jerk production. You got an actor here. And quite honestly, I'm very fascinated to check this one out, because this one did win the Narrative Audience Award. So, you know me, I like a good script, I like sharp writing, and if this has all of that, I am on board. So I'm including it in my 5, and I'm going to get rid of Souvenir. I just haven't heard much about that film after it won its first prize. It just kind of fell off the face of the earth. So yeah, I think the other ones have especially the recent ones, of course, have had more of an impact. But we'll see how the year turns out. Stalin Boys. 4 Mexican-American middle school boys in a Texas border town have developed an unusual obsession. Joseph Stalin. Oh yeah, I'm sold with that premise. Yeah, I'm going to include this one in my 5, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Voice Shift. They just keep getting harder. This is the final film I'm going to be talking about. I'm not going to drag this on too long, but just know that, yeah, bottom line is things are starting to take shape. I think we are starting to get a lot more of the Best Picture contenders, finally. And so you're going to see the list really expand. Except for August, because August actually is going to be quite interesting. I do see a couple of potentials for Oscar nominations, but I don't know if any of these are really going to break into the Best Picture. But I am jumping ahead of myself. Before anything, I know you guys want to know what my total tally is as of this time and moment. So I'll go ahead and give you just that. For actor, my current predictions are Javier Bardem for The Beloved, Sebastian Stan for Fjord, Jafar Jackson for Michael, Matt Damon for The Odyssey, and Ryan Gosling for Project Hail Mary. For actress, my predictions are Virginia Efira for All of a Sudden, Sandra Hüller for Fatherland, Renata Reinsva for Fjord, Mason Reeves for Josephine, and Sandra Hüller for Rose. For adapted screenplay, my predictions are Ryosuke Hamaguchi and Lea Ladimna for All of a Sudden, Javier Ambrosi, Javier Calvo, and Alberto Carnejero for The Black Ball, Will McCormick and Rashida Jones for The Invite, Christopher Nolan for The Odyssey, and Drew Goddard for Project Hail Mary. For animated feature film, my predictions are Daniel Chong for Hoppers, Louis Klitschy for Iron Boy, Leia Nelson for Tangles, Andrew Stanton for Toy Story 5, and Raul Garcia and Irvin Hahn for The Violinist. For animated short film, my predictions are Bara Anna Sechkalova for 9 Million Colors, Nikki Lindroth von Barr for The End, Stephen P. Neary for Living with a Visionary, Don Hertzfeldt for Paper Trail, and Ana Manzarez for Please. For Best Picture, my predictions are All of a Sudden, The Black Ball, Coward, Fjord, Josephine, The Odyssey, Project Hail Mary. For casting, my predictions are Eva Lira and Yolanda Serrano for The Black Ball, Nina Henninger, Nafis Kaptonwala, and Sarah Clibben for Josephine, John Papasidera for The Odyssey. For cinematography, my predictions are Gris Jordana for The Black Ball, Lucas Zal for Fatherland, Hoyt van Hoytema for The Odyssey, Greg Fraser for Project Hail Mary, and Adolfo Veloso for Queen at Sea. For costume design, my predictions are Ana Lopez Cobos for The Black Ball, Molly Rogers for The Devil Wears Prada 2, Shirley Kurata for I Love Boosters, Ellen Majornik for The Odyssey, and Jacqueline Duran for Wuthering Heights. For director, my predictions are Ryosuke Hamaguchi for All of a Sudden, Javier Ambrosi and Javier Calvo for The Black Ball, Kristen Mongeau for Fjord, Christopher Nolan for The Odyssey, and Phil Lord and Chris Miller for Project Hail Mary. For documentary feature film, my predictions are Po C. Tang for American Doctor, Tim Travers Hawkins for American Zoo, Banchi Hanous for Ceremony, Felipe Busto Sierra for Everybody to Kenmore Street, and Steve Happy and Dion Roach for Jail Time Records. For documentary short film, my predictions are Stephen Curry and Penn Bradfoot for The Baddest Speechwriter of All, Gabriella Canal for Jason, Ora Dekornfeld and Bianca Gavier for Stalin Boys, Emma V.F. for Water Cooler, and Fanny Texier for A Woman's Place is Everywhere. For film editing, my predictions are Albert Gutierrez for The Black Ball, Mirka Altanu for Fjord, Anisha Acharya, Nika Lunin, and Kyle Ritter for Josephine, Jennifer Lane for The Odyssey, and Joel Negron for Project Hail Mary. For international feature film, my predictions are Ryosuke Hamaguchi for All of a Sudden, Javier Ambrosi and Javier Calvo for The Black Ball, Lucas Daunt for Coward, Kristen Mongeau for Fjord, and Andrei Zagestev for Minotaur. For live action short film, my predictions are Josephine Lohar Self for Daddy's Girl, Luke Howe for The Method, Eduardo Braun Costa for The Liars, and Abby Pierce for So Boom. For makeup and hairstyling, my predictions are Flora Moody for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, Bill Corso and Carla Farmer for Michael, Louisa Abel and Gloria Casney for The Odyssey, Peter Swartzking for Supergirl, and Sophia Altvos and Augustin Zombor for Wicker. For original score, my predictions are Raul Refri for The Black Ball, John Williams for Disclosure Day, Ludwig Göransson for The Odyssey, Daniel Pemberton for Project Hail Mary, and Ricky Ho and Isabelle Latour for The Violinist. For original screenplay, my predictions are Jordan Firstman for Club Kid, Kristen Mongeau for Fjord, Beth De Arajo for Josephine, Curry Barker for Obsession, and Carlitos Ruiz, Marcel Ruiz, and Mariana Belaval for Summer of Three. For original song, my predictions are Runway from The Devil Wears Prada 2, Save the Day from Hoppers, Burial from Mother Mary, When I'm Home from The Odyssey, and I Knew It, I Knew You from Toy Story 5. For production design, my predictions are Danny Vermette for Backrooms, Roger Bells for The Black Ball, Ruth DeJong for The Odyssey, Charles Wood for Project Hail Mary, and Susie Davies for Wuthering Heights. For sound, my predictions are Eugenio Battaglia for Backrooms, Alejandro Lopez and Anna Harrington for The Black Ball, Gary Rydstrom for Disclosure Day, Richard King for The Odyssey, Ethan Van Der Ren and Eric Adal for Project Hail Mary. For supporting actor, my predictions are Bill Pullman for Everybody Digs Bill Evans, Rob Morgan for Frank and Lewis, Channing Tatum for Josephine, John Leguizamo for The Odyssey, and Robert Pattinson for The Odyssey. For supporting actress, my predictions are Tao Okamoto for All of a Sudden, Penelope Cruz for The Black Ball, Indy Navarrete for Obsession, Anne Hathaway for The Odyssey, and Samantha Morton for The Odyssey. And lastly, for visual effects, my predictions are John Knoll for The Mandalorian and Grogu, Andrew Jackson, Andrew Lockley, and Giacomo Maneo for The Odyssey, Paul Lambert and Max Ornoska for Project Hail Mary, Graham Page for The Sheep Detectives, and Jerome Chen and David Bosco for Spider-Man Brand New Day. And that's all I got for you for the month of July. Like I stated, August is looking to be a quieter month. It really is the calm before the storm, before the big film festivals start to take place in September. So even if everything ends up like just not living up to the potential, we just don't see any Oscar prospects, I'll still give some sort of update video. Maybe I'll take advantage of that to kind of maybe shift some things around, see how my mind has differed from like my earlier works of the year. And we'll tackle it from there. But who knows? Maybe everything that comes out just ends up blowing us away, and all of a sudden August does end up being a very heavy Oscar month. You can never tell with these things. That's what makes it so exciting. So join me for that next one, guys. Until then, like always, stay safe out there and have a good one.